So hello everybody. I just thought it might be a good idea to give you a short introduction in OpenAI Gym and necessary frameworks that might be useful to you when you want to do some hands-on experience with reinforcement learning. So what you will see in this video, I will show you how to actually set up OpenAI Gym and what OpenAI Gym is actually giving you. And feel free to also set up these things on your machine so that you can easily follow all the examples. What do you need in the first place? You need some Python environment. I recommend to you, if it's not your own machine or if you do not want to make any harmful things on your machine, to use Anaconda for it. You can download Anaconda, you just Google it and download it. And in Anaconda, you create a virtual environment where it bootstraps a Python interpreter and everything out of it. If you did this so far, you can activate your local environment with that you have in Anaconda. In my case, I have Python 3.6 environment. Now you see that the environment is active, and then you can also see which Python interpreter is being used. It's not the system one; it's the one that you use actually in your environment. So that gives you completely freedom if you work on a machine where you have to split users and do different things for other people. What's also a very nice and convenient thing is to have Jupyter notebooks. Jupyter notebooks let you give you a nice trial and error, and what you see is what you get framework where you can really interactively insert code and really run it, and also gives you some possibilities to visualize it. Jupyter, if you have installed all the dependencies you need to do them, then you can run Jupyter Notebook just like this. I prepared some folder where you actually have an example, a running example. If you just start Jupyter Notebook, it opens right away in the web browser. And what you see here is I just prepared a Python helper file for a bit of logging and some OpenAI Gym demo. Here we are. We are in OpenAI Gym. What is OpenAI Gym? OpenAI Gym is a framework that defines the basics, the basic things that you actually need to do reinforcement learning. It provides you actually the H environment interface and gives you a few pre-implemented environments. Here you see a lot of them. We will also make them work. Funny thing, we will also make them work in the Jupyter Notebook. And the framework itself is really easy. So you just import Gym. I will also see it, and it gives you this framework where you just say environment, make a step with this action, and it returns you observation reward, a flag if the episode is done or not, and some info. And if done, then you just reset your environment, or if you're really done, then close it. It's a really lightweight framework where you have a lot of environments that you can actually use, and where it's very easy to also put in your own environments. Let's just get through this example. This is also, I will provide this one to you as a download. There's also a little bit of background information. I always put in some basic links that this is actually where I was currently on, where you can get some background information about a little bit about MDPs and things like this. So what do you need to do in the first place? You need to import Gym. This is what you already have seen, and you need to create an environment. In this case, we just create the car pole environment. You can execute it with Shift-Enter on my Mac. So if you did it, it was successful. The first thing you should need to do is you should reset the environment. And by resetting the environment, you actually get the first state you're actually in. And this is the actual state. So if you remember, the car pole environment in this case is a for tuple, meaning the velocity, the position of the car, the velocity of the part, the angle of the pole, and the angular velocity of the pole. And this is actually the first state you are into. So if you want to now interact with the environment, you can either say I have a policy, and given based on this state, this policy gives me the action I should take. if you do not have any action that you take, you can just select an action and sample from the available action space. And you can really execute this action. This is like here. So if you do this, you are in the state. This was the previous state. This is actually the one that we have in our environment. And we perform action 1, meaning that going to the right with the card. And I'm in the new state. Actually, I get up, yes. And this is the new state update that we get. And we get a reward. In card poll, you get a reward of 1 if you just keep on going. So the poll is not tipping over. And you get for each time step, you get a reward unless the poll is tipping over. And you get an information if the episode is over or not. In this case, it's not over. You can also visualize your environment. Sorry for this, it's on the other screen right now. And then you get something like this. Maybe, yes. Yeah. And you can also have this parallel to your Jupyter Notebook implementation. You will see this in other videos too. And if you are done with it, you can just close your environment and the window is going away. Yeah, so if you're curious about your environment and what possibilities you have in your environment, you can ask questions. You can, for example, say, what observations do I have? What's the highest number of what's the upper value of the observations? What's the lower values of the observations? And here you see actually the range your observations can get into. You'll see it's a box. It's the underlying data structure of OpenAI Gym. There is 4 values in it, and this is the lower values that they can take, and this is the upper values that they can take. This is like if you want to pre-initialize your neural network or maybe some other function approximator that you actually want to deal with, you can use this information to actually scale down your model. Yeah, and the same you can also have for the action. There is actually 2 actions, 2 discrete actions being 0 or 1, meaning in this case left or right. Yeah, so now we just used one step. Maybe I just clear this and restart it, and then we can see how we can actually simulate a whole episode. So actually what we want to do is we want to start from some starting state, and then we want to keep going. And what you already see here is there's a little more environments. Let's just take the card poll environment as we did it right now. I just give a little bit of space to the window, and we can just execute this one. And what you did not see, but I see, is the window in here. So yeah, so you see actually this is broken, I don't know why, but what you actually see is that over 100 episodes, we run a random agent that just samples random actions from the action space, and you see the rendering of the of OpenAI Gym of the environment. Yeah, now I need to wait until the iterations are over that the environment actually closes. What we also can do is we can also look at other environments. Sorry for this, dead kernel. Just restarted. So yes, then we can also have a look at, there's a lot of sorry for this, there's another environment like this. Let's maybe use the, this is, for example, let's do this, like insert cell. I need to split the cells so that I can manually close the environment. Sorry for this. Where is it? Where are we? Q2 different types. Sorry. Come on. So in here, let's just take the Pong environment. Now you see it on my screen again. Unfortunately, it's always going to be like this. Then you see the Pong agent actually going on. So this is a little bit of weirdness going on because rendering and Jupyter Notebooks, they don't like each other. But in general, this is working So what you also can do is, when I add and insert a cell below, and I do env close here, so this is making things much more convenient. Let's take maybe the lunar lander that you already have seen maybe in online, which is basically you wanna land safely on the lunar, and all these trials are not that good, so you crash on the ground. This is one example, and maybe it's also another one. It's also a nice one, car racing, which basically gives you a car, and of course with random actions it's not so nice, but you want to actually go as fast as you can over the racetrack. Yes, so close this so far. What else can you do? There's different types of environments. You can also ask what environments are already registered in your Python environment. I have a lot in here. There's also lists on the internet where you can get nice and sticky environments that you can play with. How can you add a new environment? This is actually something I really there's an introduction to this. I did not want to do it like as a hands-on here, but really take this, follow the instructions, and then you can have your own environment. And you just need to implement the step function, the research function, and the object constructor. Another very nice thing to do is you want to have Tensorboard running. So what you want to have is you want to measure how your reward function and your losses in your reinforcement learning agents is progressing over time. And you can do this in Jupyter Notebook, and you can put like you can use Seaborn for plotting or Matplotlib, but you actually want to have something stronger. And what you actually want to have is Tensorboard. Tensorboard you need to install also on your machine, and you need to start it. Separately. I will do it like this. I will have a predefined log directory, temp logs. This will start Tensorboard on this port 6006, and you can see it here, 6006, and there's nothing in yet. But if I execute the cell, I will start a cardpole environment, and I will just log values, steps, episodes, the mean reward, and the mean 100 reward, some smooth value over the reward, and the immediate episode reward I get. And if you execute this thing, this is running. I did comment out the rendering because I do not need the rendering, and it's getting a lot faster if I'm not doing it. And what you see is here you get the first results. You can then update it. You can put in a smoothing here again, and of course nothing is learning. So the episode reward is like tumbling around that. But if in order to solve cardpole, you actually need to have a 200 reward, then cardpole is considered to be solved. Of course, nothing is working yet. So if you're updating it, as you see, we have 45,000 episodes run so far. You will see algorithms that actually doing this and will really then capture up and reaching final high rewards in this case. So if you have things to monitor, Tensorboard is really a good alternative, and you should really use Tensorboard instead of Matplotlib for plotting your stuff. Yes, that's it. I will provide this Jupyter Notebook to you also via the web pages, where you also have the download links, and feel free to play around with it. Keep your Anaconda running, so you can install it on your own machine. There's libraries, there's Anaconda running on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And this also always works in user space, so you are free to do whatever you want, and you can start Tensorboard in user space. You do not need to be an admin. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, just approach us and we help out. Thanks.